I'll pass it off to Inga to introduce herself.
Thank you, Sona. Hi, guys. My name is Inga Chilingarian, and I am also co-president. I'll pass it on to Ninelle.
Hi, everybody. I am Ninelle Azizian, and I am your IOC representative, and I'll pass it on to Christine.
Hi, everyone. I'm Christine, and I am the vice president. I'll pass it on to Mary.
Hey, guys. I'm Mary. I'm a nursing major, and I'm also the secretary.
Okay, so that's all for our cabinet members, and here we have Ninelle Zargarian, who is a medical student, and she's here to speak to us about her process, and if you she has a presentation prepared, and at the end, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the event.
Hi, everyone. Oh, did you have something to say?
Sorry, I was just gonna ask if you have the screen sharing abilities, but you can go ahead and say what you were gonna say.
I was just gonna say, if you guys have questions when I'm speaking, I think if you guys are fine with it, I'm fine with you popping in and asking mid-presentation. I don't have like too many slides, so I think we'll have a lot of time for questions. I've never shared my screen before, but I think it should work. If it doesn't, then I don't know, we'll figure it out. Okay, let me try.
I was wondering if I have to make you like co-host, but I think it should allow you to.
Let's see. Oh yeah, okay, so it says host disabled participant screen sharing.
Okay. So I just made you co-host. I believe it should allow you to now.
Yes, okay. Do you see my screen now?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, so as I said, my name is Ninelle Zargarian. I'm a second year medical student, so that's exciting. Just a reminder, everything that I say, this is my story. Your story might be different. Your path to medical school can be completely different than mine. Know that there's not one set way of getting there. And yeah, just take what you hear and see how you want to make your path work for you. So I started off at GCC in 2013, right out of high school. One of the best decisions that I made. I enjoyed it so much, and I think I had a better time at GCC than at UCLA. Sorry, Bruins. But yeah, I then went to UCLA. After 3 years at GCC, I got my bachelor's in biology. I graduated in 2018. And then I took a few gap years and I got accepted to Des Moines University. It's a DO school in Iowa. I know it's kind of hard to believe that I live there. It's not my favorite place to be, but honestly, you go where you get accepted. Yeah, so I just finished up my first year and I'll be going into my second next year. So before transferring, I was at GCC doing the scholars program. I think that it helped getting into UCLA a lot. I know that they have the TAP program, and that's like some agreement that UCLA has with the scholars program where you take a bunch of honors courses and do some like volunteering and all that stuff. And it doesn't guarantee that you get accepted to UCLA. I know that they have the TAG program and that might be a guarantee. I'm not sure. But yeah, I did TAP. I applied to UCLA, UC Santa Barbara, San Diego, and Irvine with either biology or biomedical sciences, whatever it was for the rest. For UCLA was biology. And I was able to get into all of them. And I think that it had a lot to do with the scholars program. And then I was also in AGS Honor Society. And both with the scholars program and AGS, they had great volunteering events. So definitely get on that if you haven't. And then also I was a scout with Home and Glendale Aurat. Something that you guys should know, being a transfer student does not negatively impact your acceptance to medical school. I don't think they even asked me about it in my interviews. If anything, it could be seen as like a form of diversity. And honestly, going to community college saves you a lot of money, so you're in the right place. Also, don't care about the big name schools. If you want to go to a Cal State, go to a Cal State. Just go somewhere that you're gonna feel supported by friends, family, and you're gonna be happy. Because if I had to go back, I maybe wouldn't have gone to UCLA. I had more friends going to UC San Diego and Irvine, and I think that I might have been a little bit happier where I had that support. Not to say that UCLA didn't support me, but I just think that, I don't know, I'm iffy about it. And then in undergrad, this is not like a full list of things that I did, but these are the main things. I continued scouting. I was an ER scribe, and I think that that was probably my favorite thing that I've done, as like that had to do with healthcare. And then I just did like the regular hospital volunteering, and I was also a tutor. It was math and kind of a little bit of English. And then during my gap year, I did more volunteering. I did mobile clinics, and then just the regular hospital and some non-healthcare volunteering, because that's also important when it comes to your applications. They want to see that you can volunteer in areas that don't just serve purpose for your application. It's like kind of like a well-rounded scope. And then I did a lot of shadowing. And I don't know how it is nowadays with COVID, but if you're interested in shadowing a doctor, find their contact information either by just calling their office, or if you find their email, shoot them an email and be like, hi, I'm applying to medical school soon. Is it okay if I come shadow you for the day? Normally, if it's like a independent clinic, they should be cool with it. Sometimes when it's in a hospital, there are some rules where they don't allow people to shadow. But yeah, and the earlier you start on these, the better. But also remember that right now you're trying to transfer, so it's not like your number one priority. And then gap year, I also did a little bit of research, nothing crazy. I didn't have any publications. It's not, research is not something that I'm super interested in, so I didn't really go far in that. That's like, if that's something that you're very interested in, then that's something that you put your time to. But for me, that was not my number one. So I just focused on strengthening my application in different ways. And then also in my gap years, I studied for the MCAT, which was not fun. So when it comes to the MCAT, take your time. It's okay to take it more than once. I took it more than once. And make sure that you improve your score, because you don't want it to drop, obviously. Not that it happens often, but I've heard it happening to some people. And don't be scared. Like, if you take your time and you put in the work, somehow, some way, you will get through it. And then one big piece of advice: do well in your undergrad classes, do well in your science classes at GCC, which I personally think that the science classes at GCC are harder than in like undergrad institutions. So yeah, it'll definitely help you if you do well in these classes, because the MCAT is just like, I personally thought that there was like minor details that I felt like I missed at GCC that I had to relearn later. But everything works out, trust me. And some resources that I personally think helped me a lot, the World question bank, so helpful. I would definitely recommend doing that like twice if you could. Each question has explanations, not only for the wrong answers, but the right answer as well. It just like goes in really good depth. And then everything from AAMC is helpful. They have a few practice tests. They have a bunch of question packs. All of that is similar to what they're expecting from the MCAT, the real one. And then I read some of the Princeton review books. I didn't love them. I would say that when it comes to especially the science sections, the Berkeley review books were amazing. The questions were very helpful. And then Khan Academy, especially for the psychology and sociology section, all of their videos, honestly, if you watch those, you won't be set, but like you'll be in a very good place when it comes to psych social for sure. And then I cannot stress this enough, practice tests, you need to take them, and you need to take a lot of them. I think for the second time that I was taking the MCAT, I might have taken like 14 practice tests. Yeah, it was a lot, but definitely helpful. When it comes to volunteering, find organizations and causes that you care about. You're going to be putting your time to it. So make sure you're doing something that you are passionate about, something that you care about, that you're going to be enjoying when you're doing it. And form good connections with the people that you're working with. It's going to help you when it comes down to writing your letters of recommendation. When they actually have something to remember about you, it helps make it that much stronger. Medical schools want to see someone that actually knew you, not just someone that you called up like right before and said like, oh, I knew you like 5 years ago, can you write me a letter? And maybe they'll still do it. That's how it was for my college professors, but it's better when you have strong relationships with them. And a lot of the ways that I found my volunteering opportunities was just Googling. So there was a time that I was looking for a non-healthcare activity to do, and I personally love makeup. And so I just Googled makeup volunteering. And so I found this organization called the Beauty Bus. And they host like free events, and they give free beauty services to mostly children, but mainly just like anyone that's suffering from a critical condition, and also their caretakers. And so they have events where they do their makeup, they do their hair, and all of these things. And so I would volunteer and help out in just any way that I could. And that was like a cool thing, and I was passionate about it. So it made it even more fun. And yeah. So when it comes to applications, start early, submit it early. I think I submit mine like maybe not the first day that it opened, but maybe like the first few days. So definitely get on that. And the personal statement, I think they have the prompt online, so you can start working on it way early. Something to keep in mind, GPA and MCAT, they do matter, but your story matters more. There's only so far you can get with just high stats. I know people that had very high MCAT scores, high GPAs, they got either one interview or no interviews. And if they got one interview, they didn't get accepted the first round. And I know people that had lower stats and they had multiple interviews. My stats weren't the best and I got multiple interviews. So it's just like, it just matters how you tell your story. And so the personal statement especially is like one of the most important things in your application. And something that really helped me is this book right here. The PDF is online. I can look for it. I had it. I can share it with you guys. There's no need to go buy it. But yeah, very helpful. Your personal statement has to be personal. It has to show why you want to be a doctor and why you will be a good doctor. And it's not just like explaining, oh, I want to do this, this, this. I want to go to medical school because of this, this, this. You can use the experiences and like tell stories in your essay, like that will make the reader visualize what you went through and why you're making the decision to go into medicine. Yeah, so use your experiences to back up your words. Lastly, what do medical schools actually care about? Academics, obviously. Are you going to be able to handle the rigorous curriculum? Medical school is hard. So they need to know that you're going to be able to handle it. Now, that's not to say like if you have a few C's, like that you're not going to get accepted. I had a couple C's and I was fine. But they just want to know that you have what it takes. And also something to keep in mind, if you're not doing so great in community college, you can go to your undergrad institution and do great, and they'll see that upward grade trend, and that will make them feel like, okay, this person got their butt together, like they can handle it. And also they care about your experience in healthcare settings. Have you seen what the day-to-day life of a doctor is like? How do you know for sure that you can handle it? How do you know for sure that this is what you want to do? So shadowing and all of that is really going to help you make that decision if you really want to go into medicine. And they also care about compassion, how you treat others. What have you done outside of healthcare? What do you care about that's not related to medicine? And also your curiosity for science and medicine. They want to know that it's not all about your grades. What do you like to do related to the field that's not in the classroom? So if that's research for you, then that's great. And then also your interests and hobbies. They want to know that you're human, that you're gonna be a good doctor, and you're gonna be able to speak to your patients, and you're not just like a robot that's like, okay, we're gonna do this, and leave the room. They want to know that you're gonna be able to form those strong relationships with your patients and care for them how they want to be cared for. And they just want to know what makes you unique. So if you like, I don't know, if you like plants, write about that. There's a section in your, I think it's about your activities. I don't remember what the actual title is called, but that's where you write about like your shadowing, volunteer work and whatever. And then there's a section where you can write about hobbies. And so like I wrote about yoga and I wrote about baking, or like I like to tie-dye socks. So that's something that I could have written about. Yeah. I think, okay. And just remember that all it takes is one acceptance. You can do it. Just work hard. Don't give up and trust the process because it works. If it worked for me, it can work for you. And if you have questions, this is my email. Feel free to email me whenever. I love giving advice. Yeah.
Thank you.
That is that. Yes.
Thank you. That was a really informative presentation, and I like how like you're realistic, but you're also like you're supportive, like you're making it seem like a realistic goal for those who are interested in pre-med.
Trust me, if I could do it, you could do it. There's so many times that I've doubted myself, and like it's normal. Imposter syndrome is normal. It's okay to think that like it's hard because it is. Yeah, but trust me, you can do it.
Thank you. Does anyone? Okay, I see Sona is raising her hand. Yes.
Yeah. I wanted to ask if you're okay with sharing what were your stats going into medical school?
Okay, so I applied to DO schools and I applied to MD schools. My DO GPA was like a little bit lower, so I had like a 3.5, and then my science was 3.4, and then my MCAT was 507, the highest one. And I had 3 interviews, 2 of them being MD and 1 of them being DO.
Wow, that's really great. Thank you.
So not high, but that's why I say like your story matters, because yeah, they read it. Like when they say holistic review, they're not joking.
Thank you. But that's not low. That's really high. So I wanted to say.
I mean, just compared to like, I don't know. Yeah.
Yes, Sophia has a question, I believe.
Hi. So I have a bunch of friends that like were also like they started at GCC and then they transferred to UCLA as well. And I know for a lot of transfers, that's a very like difficult process, just kind of getting used to like the university lifestyle. And then that in itself takes up so much time from things like getting into research or doing extracurriculars. So like, what advice would you have to like students that are about to transfer on how to stay like focused with the pre-med path and just kind of what advice do you have about like settling in kind of well?
I think it's easy to be like, oh, like you want to go and you want to find friends and all these things. Like, remember what your path is. Like, if you want to go into medicine, even if you want to go into like dentistry, it doesn't have to be just like being a physician. You know, like how hard it is to get accepted. You need to focus on your grades first. I think joining clubs is great. I don't even know if I'm answering your question. What was it again?
It's just like how do you like based off of your experience, what do you suggest transfer students do so that they kind of settle in well to the university and stay focused?
I think when you first start, just try to get a hang of it. Like it's every time you're starting something new, it's like you're very unsure and like you're just not settled. So take that time to first settle in before you move on to like having new commitments. Like don't go trying to find a research opportunity the first like month you get accepted to a new school. Like just try to settle in, like solidify some of your grades, and then once you are confident that you can handle more work, then start like looking for different opportunities. Because it's very easy to like start committing to things and then realize like, oh, maybe I didn't have the time to like do that, and maybe like, yeah.
I wanted to ask for like you took gap years, so
Yeah.
how would you recommend a gap year? Like, did you rest a little or like, prepare to grind when you get in?
1000% recommend gap years. I mean, it doesn't have to be multiple, but I think it really helped me. And just like for me, it was mostly the MCAT that I just did not feel prepared
Mhm.
to take it. And so I really needed that time. And also like research, I didn't do it in undergrad. I took one like class, a research class at UCLA, but it didn't really like count as a research experience to me. So I really wanted to like expand and solidify my application. And even volunteering, I didn't have enough hours when I was in undergrad or GCC. All of the things that I did that made me stand out happened in my gap years. And so when you have that time, like, and you're not worried about passing classes and all of that stuff, I think you can really make your application great. So 100% recommend.
Thank you.
So I wanted to ask, like, I have two questions actually. So were there any like factors that you weighed in between choosing like a DO school or an MD school? Like, did you like the DO school better, the area, like the opportunities it offered?
Well, I only got accepted here, so I don't really have a choice. Um, uh, I knew that I was gonna go wherever accepted me. So when it comes to DO schools, like there's no difference other than the fact that practice DO students practice OMM, osteopathic manipulative medicine. When when you're actually a doctor, you don't have to do it with your patients. You can recommend to you can refer to doctors that specialize in that, but there is no difference. Like whoever tells you there's a difference between a DO and MD is wrong. Like our education is the same and it should not stop you from applying to them. Yeah, you're gonna hear from older doctors that don't believe that DOs are equivalent to MDs, but honestly, that's just wrong. So I was prepared to go to any type of school that was willing to take me.
And then I also wanted to ask, I have a bunch of friends in undergrad who are like pre-med and they've taken something called the Casper exam. Did you take something like that?
Yeah, I took it.
So
it was just like another thing on the list to do. It wasn't like,
what does that entail?
it's like, I believe it was timed and I think there's a practice test online. But basically just, it wants to see what your judgment is. Like Are you gonna follow the rules? Are you gonna do the right thing? Yeah, so it just gives you like different scenarios and then asks you how you would handle them. But I don't think it was something like to really stress about. And I don't know if schools actually use that to accept or deny someone. I think it's just like a little extra thing that they ask for, but it's not gonna determine whether you get accepted to the school or not, unless you like completely bomb it, which I don't think I don't think you will.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so I had like two questions that I can think of right now. The first one is about the DO and MD difference. So I like recently found out that there's like those different schools, and I've been like trying to understand the difference. I know you said like there's not much of a difference, but I remember reading somewhere it's like there's a difference in like classes or like class amounts or like workload amounts. Do you know anything about that? Like, do they have
I
to take extra classes or something like that?
So yeah, we have, I don't know how many hours it is. I think it's like 200 something extra hours of OMM. So we have a class, it's like there's a lecture for it, and there's also a lab the first 2 years of medical school. And so we just learn different techniques of like soft tissue therapy, or like there's something called muscle energy, and there's just like different ways of healing the body other than using drugs.
I see.
But other than that, that's the only extra thing that we have. And obviously we have different board exams too. So like for example, the second year I would by choice take the USMLE step 1, and I would also take the equivalent for DO schools. But you don't have to take the USMLE if you don't want to. But you do have to take the one for DOs.
Because you're at a DO school, the USMLE
Yeah.
is optional. Oh, I see. Okay, thank you. And then my second
Mm-hmm.
question was, did you ever like, I guess like during your first year, did you ever have like, if you ever fell into like, I guess like unmotivated moments or like moments where like it became,
Oh, a lot.
yeah, I was just wondering like how did you, because I know you have to like push yourself, like there's not much time to fall behind in med school, I imagine. So how do you like get out of those like moments, if that makes sense?
Uh, Find something that makes you happy outside of medical school, because there's no doubt about it. It's just rough. Like especially your first year, you're not really sure what the right way to study is. And honestly, I didn't figure out the right way to study until the very end. Um, but it's different for everybody, so it's hard for me to say like exactly. But I like going to the gym, and just putting time to go to the gym helped me so much. Like even if you're busy, even if you think you don't have time, you have the time to like put 30 minutes or an hour just to do something that is going to refresh your brain and like make you not think about being a medical student for like 2 seconds. Um, and if you really feel burnt out, it's okay to take like half a day, because in the long run, that's going to help you more than just like pushing through your bad day. And like it's just, when you're having a bad day, you're having a bad day. There's not much that you can do to make it better, and it's better to just take a little bit of time off and refocus, and then go back, and then you're kind of like ready again. But yeah, for me, like we have exams every 2 weeks, so we don't really get a break until our finals. um so that's how I got burnt out, and it was just not fun.
I see. Thank you.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Ariella, do you want to ask your question first?
Oh, sure. Thank you. So I'm actually a UCLA student right now, and I'm gonna be applying next year. And I was wondering if you ever had to do anything like crazy to stand out. When I say crazy, I mean literally like opening up like a nonprofit organization, because that's been crossing my mind. But like, did you have to do anything crazy like that to stand out? Or do you know anyone who had to do anything like that?
No, I did not open a nonprofit organization. I don't think that I've done anything crazy, but I think when you do something that you care about, you can put a lot of time to it, and when you talk about it, it shows how much you care about it, and that can make you stand out. I mean, yeah, it's not an obligation, or like it's not a requirement to do something outstanding for them to be like, oh, we need this person. Yeah, it's just like do what you're interested in and find ways to stand out through that.
Thank
Does
you.
that help? Do you have any more questions?
I
I
mean,
don't know if I really answered
always. I always have
Yeah, go
questions.
ahead.
Also, like, do you know anyone who like learned like another language to stand out? Because I've been really starting to think about it, and I've been researching a little bit, and like that kind of stuff is what they say to do. But I don't know if I like have to, if I don't need to, you know.
Like you would want to talk about it as a separate activity, or you would just want to put on your application like you could speak this language?
Yeah, I guess both. Yeah, I guess both. Either or. Yeah.
I mean, it's up to you, honestly. I
Yeah.
don't know if I would go as far as like, I don't know how much you can talk about that. Unless,
Okay.
let's say like you're learning Spanish and then you're gonna go work in a community where like it's like mainly Spanish speakers, and then you like, let's say you're a scribe or like whatever, or like a translator, and then you help in that way and use that new language that you've learned for some cause.
Mhm.
You're not just learning it to learn it, you know?
Gotcha. Yeah. I guess
Yeah.
everything has to have like a meaning behind it when it comes
Yeah,
to
when
music.
when there's meaning behind it, that just makes your application that much more well-rounded and like cohesive.
Okay. Thank you. Also, if
Yeah.
anyone is gonna write down that they know Spanish and if they apply to USC, make sure you know how to speak it because the dean calls you. That's just some random advice, but I'm just just putting it
Yeah,
out there. But thank you.
don't lie on your applications. No.
Okay, so my question was more like for like advice on professors like at GCC specifically. I don't know
Yeah.
if it's the same since you went like a few years ago, but
Mhm.
do you have any recommendations for like bio, OChem professors?
What level are you on right now?
I'm taking General Chem 2 right now.
So Chem 102,
Yeah. And
and then you're wondering about 105.
yeah, 105 and Bio 101.
I think, I don't know if there's more than one professor for Bio 101. I think, what was his name? He's like the head of the department.
He's not there anymore. Just an
Oh,
FYI.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I had him. And then for Chem 105, I had Dr. Chalmers. He was fine. I don't know if Mrs. O works there anymore. Does she?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, people loved
He
her.
does.
I didn't have her. I only had her for Chem Lab over summer one time. But other than that, I'm sure she's amazing. I just didn't have her. Chem 105.
Yeah.
Yeah, I only took Chem 105 at GC, and then I took the second one at UCLA. Definitely easier at UCLA. But yeah, don't take Chem 105 and 102 together and Bio 102 together if you don't have to, because it's tough.
Yeah, that's what Dr. Chalmers was also saying. Don't take that.
Yeah, I had to do that, and it was not, I mean, it's doable. A lot of people did it, but it's just like, you don't do it if you don't have to.
Yeah.
Other than that, Bio 102, I think it was Goggo.
Yeah,
I don't know if he's still there. He's awesome. Loved him. I had him for lecture and lab. I didn't take Bio 103, and I don't know if you still have to take that at all to transfer.
I believe it's just Bio 101 and 102.
I don't even know. I don't even know if you have to take that to graduate, like undergrad. I'm not very sure.
I don't think, oh, I'm not sure, but you need it to transfer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Really? 103?
No, 101 and 102.
Oh,
Yeah, 101 and 102 you need to transfer, but 103 you don't.
Okay. And do you recommend taking all our classes at GCC? Because I know some schools are think about like taking it, you know,
A different
yeah.
Oh, okay. So I had a lot of lower division classes to take at UCLA. I had to take all of the physics. I think it was like 3 of them. And then I had to take Bio 103, which at UCLA it was 2 separate classes and a lab. Um, but it's like it's doable. Like, don't worry if you don't have all of your classes done and they tell you that it's okay to take it at a different school, then just take it at a different school. Don't try to just like pack it on in your semester and then make it hard for you if you don't have to.
Thank you. That helps. Yeah.
And I don't think you have to take Math 105. So
Oh yeah, I'm taking that
again,
right.
I was a bio major. This is all from experience from someone majoring in biology.
Yeah. I started off as a computer science major, so I did take like some of the higher maths, but it's like,
Wow.
I don't know. I kind of like it. I like both. So
I mean, yeah, honestly, that could make you stand out too.
yeah, I'm thinking about a minor.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, sorry, Sona, were you done asking, or did you have it? Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, sorry, I was lowering my hand.
No, don't worry, it's fine. I wanted to ask, and I guess this is like sort of far ahead in the future for us, but since you like just experienced it, it's probably good to ask. Like, are there any major like not like specific studying advice, but I guess just like general like studying or like studying advice that you would have for like med school or even like your prerequisites in undergrad?
Study methods, I honestly like I'm still figuring it out. But one thing that I've realized, one, I don't like studying at home. I always need to get myself somewhere to feel like I can do it. So whether that's going to Starbucks or like getting yourself to go to the library. So our library at DMU has cubicles where you're just literally like 3 walls, you can't see anything around you. And that's something that like gets me to focus the most. So find a place that you find yourself focusing the most and stick to it. Because I think when you're consistent, that kind of blocks out other distractions and you kind of just like, you know that you're gonna go there to get work done. What else? Practice questions. When studying for the MCAT, there's only so much you can learn from just reading a book. Princeton review, Berkeley review, whatever, like the questions that they have are more important than the little excerpts that they have. It's better to like see where you're at in your studying, and like if you're having trouble with certain like types of questions, go watch a YouTube video or something. There's so many resources out there. Like figure out what you're weak at and focus on those. Yeah.
Got it. Thank you.
To kind of add on to the studying, because like obviously I'm not in medical school yet, but I just finished my undergrad. So I guess some tips that I could give is like, especially at UCLA, start studying ahead of time. I think I learned this because like in high school, I would wait maybe like the day before, 2 days before an exam to study. But at UCLA, I learned like a week before an exam works way better. And then number two, I don't know how it is at GCC if you have like TAs, but at UCLA, typically like the classes are like way bigger, like maybe 150 to even 400 students in a class with one professor. So you're gonna have TAs, and make TAs like your best friends, especially if they're nice, because they can be like a free study buddy or a free tutor, and that can make your studying like way easier, and like they know what's on the exam most of the time, so they can give you good guidance. So just some advice to give before you guys go to university.
And also, don't be afraid to ask your professors for help. Usually, like for me, I was struggling a lot with my microbiology course. And then kind of in the very end, I was like, okay, I need to go talk to my professor. And so I started going, and it helped so much. Like they would have questions prepared for students, so they would go through it with me, and just talking through it helped me a lot. So yeah, don't be afraid to ask for help. Even if you're not struggling, just go talk to your professors. It's just a different way to study, and sometimes it sticks in your head more when you kind of like talked it through rather than just like reading.
So I had a quick question about, like, let's say we're not going into like a science major, like it's like a more non-traditional thing. Like, let's say, I don't know, like you were saying earlier, like music or English or psychology. Do you know what classes are like the basic requirements that med schools require?
Just, I guess the ones that you would need to take the MCAT. So you need biochemistry, you need the chems, the bios, some math, physics, OChem. I think those are the main ones. Oh, and then you need like psychology, sociology. I think there's like a list online. I can look for it and then send it to you guys. I think that's basically it though. I don't think there's like other.
There's no like anatomy or microbiology or physiology on there.
No, but honestly, so before I went to medical school, I would ask like physicians and other med students, like, do you recommend taking anatomy beforehand? Now, you don't have to. It's not a requirement to take anatomy, but I personally would have wanted to. And I think that it would be helpful. So if you have the extra time, maybe not even take the class, but if you have an anatomy book, just like study it if you find the time or the joy. But I think it personally would have helped if I had an anatomy class. But again, that's up to you. It's not a requirement. And you'll hear a lot of people say that you shouldn't, but I think you should.
I have another question. I know, like, you know, medical school is hard and you don't have any time. I mean, you have a little time to devote to what you want, but how do you balance your like your school life and your mental health and like your social life? Like, how does the balance go?
I wouldn't say that I really go out that much, but that's just my choice. Like, I don't really find the need to like party or whatever,
Yeah.
while some classmates do. It just depends on like what you care about. So for me, one thing that I do care about, as I said, was just the gym. So I'll be like, I'll think to myself, okay, today, or like, let's say 3 times a week, I need to go to the gym at this time. So I usually go, our gym closes at 10, so I'll go like 1 hour before. So once I have that in my mind, like I need to go to the gym at 9 p.m., I kind of just like plan my day out where I'll finish all my stuff by that time, that day. And it kind of just being excited about it makes me motivated to finish my work to go. But you definitely need to balance your med school with something else, because unless you're like some crazy genius, you're gonna get burnt out. And like talk to your friends and family, like keep up with them, especially if you live far away. I live in Iowa. I don't really like, I do have friends, but it's not the same as the ones that you have back home. So definitely keep in touch with them. Yeah, it's important to keep your mental health like well, because if that's not 100%, then how are you going to put your time to your schoolwork? And that could suffer too. And it's okay to go to therapy. I know a lot of people in my class that go to therapy and because of medical school, and I'm sure that it helps a lot. What else? There's so many events to go to too, like volunteering, and they do a good job, medical schools, to allow students to like socialize and make new friends and like forget about being a student for like just a little bit.
Yeah. So like you live far away, so do you like FaceTime or do you visit like for holidays or
I try to come as much as I can. I think so. The way that our block schedule works is after our finals. Um, so we have like a retest week. So like if you don't pass a class, you have an opportunity to take an exam that will, if you do like better than 70%, then you'll get a C in the class. And so that retest week is kind of like an extra week for us. So if you're already passing your classes, you have an extra week of break. And so I just like I take advantage of that and I come home. But I was able to come home once in October and then once for Thanksgiving and then for winter break, and now I'm back for summer. And actually we did have spring break too. We have breaks. Like you can make time to come home. It's not like you move away and then you just never come. It's a choice.
so you said a C. So is your school not pass no pass?
No, yeah, my school is graded,
Oh wow.
which I'd honestly like I don't love. It's not, I don't think it's helpful at all. But that's the way it is.
Yeah. And how would you I know like some schools like not just the school in general, but the classes are most of the time it's not mandatory for attending lecture because there's like recorded lecture. Is it like that
Mhm.
for you?
Yeah, so there are some classes that are required, but now with Zoom, like you can track attendance so we can watch online too. But yeah, we have live and recorded, um, and in person. So we have a lot of options. I personally, I stopped going to class. I would just wait till they would post the recordings online and then I would watch it on 2 times speed. And it's good because when you watch it later, you can pause and go back and like I like to take notes, so that's really helpful for me. I just found that like going to class every day um just was not working for me. I didn't like waking up so early where I would like just like get tired later and then I would have to nap and it just like it didn't work. I like having my mornings. I start at like 10, 11 sometimes. And I just found that that works best for me. But other people, they like going to every single class and that's just the way that they study and that's just the way that they do med school. And you figure it out over the course of the year. Like by the end of the year, I'm sure you'll figure out your way of doing things.
Thank you. Inga, you had your hand up.
Yeah, thank you. I was gonna ask, in your like journey from undergrad, I guess like to med school, were you ever met? Because I've heard, I don't know if it's true, but I've heard like the pre-med community or like med community can be kind of toxic. So I was wondering if you've ever come across like situations like that with people, I don't know, just like discouraging and stuff like that.
Ooh. Um, I've always been surrounded by really smart people, and I found myself comparing because, like I told you, I didn't have the best stats in my opinion. And so I was always just like, why can't I get like high grades and like why can't I understand these classes as well as the other people around me? Like, why are my test grades not as high? And like, you can do that all you want, but like at the end of the day, if medical schools like your story, they're gonna interview you, they're gonna want you. Like, it's I mean, I'm not gonna tell you not to compare yourself because like it's gonna happen regardless. And like doubting yourself, it just happens because you're stressed. But just keep working hard. It works out. It will work out no matter what. And don't listen to people that doubt you or tell you not to go into medicine because like your grades aren't high enough, you don't have enough activities. Just like do what you think you need to do to get there, and don't trust everyone. Like I don't think I had any counselors that told me like I couldn't do it. Um, but yeah, I think some people were definitely shocked when they heard that I had the interviews that I had, um, knowing my stats. So that was nice.
For sure, yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
Mhm.
This is like I guess like more of a personal question for you, but I know you don't have to even consider it yet, but are there any specialties you're considering as of right now?
Okay. I have always been dead set on surgery for like as long as I can remember. Um, and I went into medical school saying like there's no way that I will change my mind. Like I know this is what I want to do. I can't see myself being a doctor if I'm not going to be a surgeon. And some people don't change their minds, and I don't think I've completely changed my mind, but I just like I feel like I'm more open to other specialties now, not for any specific reason other than just like thinking about the lifestyle that I want to live. I think the amount of stress that we go through, one as pre-med, and two like in medical school, like at some point in your life you just don't want to be stressed anymore all the time. And I think that some specialties more than others fit a more like relaxed lifestyle than, for example, a surgeon's lifestyle. And so I don't know if I want to do that anymore. But I'm still open to everything. I haven't gone on my rotations yet, so I can't really like solidly say what I want to do, but I'm definitely open to more than I used to be.
That's
And
great.
shadowing really helps. Like if you think you're interested in surgery, find a shadowing program that will allow you to go into the operating room. Um, it's hard, but you can find programs that allow it. And yeah,
Yeah, I was actually thinking about that recently, but I wasn't sure if those exist. So they do exist. Like even if you're an undergrad, there are programs that allow you to like observe.
yes, of course. Okay, so I did a program. I don't know if it's still called this, but it was like pre-health volunteers. It was at Cedar Sinai. It's like there's an interview process and like an application. And there's like a GPA requirement, but it's like I think it's 8 weeks, and you get paired with a mentor, a physician. I got paired with two people. And so you just follow them around, and if they're a surgeon, then you get to go into the operating room. And best thing I ever did.
Oh wow. Yeah, that actually I forgot about this. I wanted to ask like what volunteering you did. I'm not sure if you mentioned, but like what volunteering.
I briefly mentioned it. Okay, so I did like the regular hospital. I was like, I got to answer phone calls and just like help with little things. Nothing crazy in the surgical ICU, like the nurses station. And then I did the scribing in the ER, which I did that for 3 years, and I think that was like the most I was able to participate and like actually have something to do with the patient like process. Because like, do you guys know what scribes are? Anybody want me to explain?
Yeah, if you could.
You basically like you go into the patient room, like so for the ER, when the patient first comes in, you go in with a doctor and you're basically working on the documentation. You're writing their chart, everything that you hear, and there's training for this. So obviously, you don't just go in, like they prepare you and teach you how to um, all the like words and stuff. But yeah, you go in with a doctor and you listen to the encounter with the patient, and you're basically helping the doctor out so they don't have to do the charting, you do it instead. And sometimes they tell you exactly what you need to write. So I think that was like the best like experience, getting to see not only like what it's like to be a doctor and how they make their decisions, they also give you advice. And you just get to see like from start to finish what it's like to have a patient come in, and then how the doctor figures out what they want to do with them, and how they either get discharged or sent to another part of the hospital. But yeah, basically scribing is just working on their documentation. And yeah, I did that for 3 years, and that was probably my favorite thing that I did.
Okay, great, thank you. Ariella, you have a question?
Actually, I'm just gonna promote co-health scholars right now, if you guys don't mind. I was in that program for almost 3 years as well. If you want to get clinical experience and have over 100 hours and get to talk to doctors, nurses, and actually go into operation rooms, you can join co-health scholars. I was also a leader, so I got to train students, which is an opportunity that you can have as well. I'm just saying, if you want to be in operation rooms, and you want over like 100 hours, because it is a time commitment, it's like 280 hours for completion, then Clubhouse Scholars is a great option for you. Just wanted to promote that.
Thank you. Yeah, I've heard of that recently. I've heard it's a good program. Thank you, Ariella.
Yeah, there's a lot of programs like that. Literally, Google search, you will find everything there is to offer. There's so many opportunities if you just look for them. And just reaching out to doctors or nurses or whatever, reach out and get your name in the door.
Thank you. Grigor, you have your hand up?
Um, Hello everyone. So my question is regarding about the applications, recommendation letters in the applications. Did you ask for from the professors or from the doctors that have you been like volunteering for the recommendation letter?
Yeah, so the application, actually they have certain requirements. So I think you have to have like 2 science professors write a letter. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if it's 2 or 1. And then you had to have 1 non-science professor, and then another one from someone you worked with outside of school. Let's say it was a research professor, or like research what are they called, PIs, or just a physician that you work with, let's say in the ER. I had one of them write me one too. Yeah, so the requirements, it's in the application, but definitely you do need professors. So stay in contact with them. They're gonna come help you in the future.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah.
And also my another question is it was regards to researches. Like you find some programs through the internet to join the group to do researches, or you found some like recommend from the professors?
So for me, the small research program that I did at UCLA was like a class that I took, and then there's like a poster presentation that we did, but I didn't even write about that on my application. The research that I did, I got into because of the shadowing that I did with that same physician. After the shadowing program ended, he just asked me like, "Oh, do you have research experience? If not, come work with me." And that was it. So it was kind of just like a connection thing. But if you do find a research position online, just email them and ask, like tell them that you're interested, and obviously like do your research and read about what they're studying, and then email them asking if you could either have an interview with them or just join their team. And I'm sure if they do have spots available, they would be more than willing to have you.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Yeah. You guys, I have not been reading the chat. There's like 25 messages. Yeah. Anyone else?
Yeah, Christine, you can go ahead.
I have a question. So, like, looking back to your journey to medical school, is there one thing that stands out that you would say is your greatest regret or that you would change about your experience?
I wouldn't say that I regret anything. Maybe I would just like, I would want my grades to be better. That's it. I think that's the one thing that I would work on. I would just like try harder in school. That's why it's so important. You guys are at GCC, put in the work now, you will 100% be happy in the end. I mean, I still got to where I wanted to be, but I think it was just like a little bit harder for me.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Yep, no problem.
Okay, it looks like one of our last questions is Anna raising her hand. You can go ahead, Anna.
Yeah. Hi. So I know you mentioned that going to a community college won't lower our chances to get accepted into med school, but like I was wondering whether it will have an effect on admissions to an Ivy League med school. Like, do you know someone who went to community college and got accepted into like Ivy League med school, like something high rank?
I mean, I would have to think. I don't think I know anyone that goes to like a top school. But I don't really see why that would be an issue. I mean, you could definitely reach out to their admissions committee and either call them or email them and ask. I know that a lot of schools even have like Zoom meetings like this where people that are interested in their school can ask questions. I don't see why it would be an issue, honestly, because you can do amazing in community college, you can do amazing in undergrad, and they can see that. I don't think the institution really matters.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you everyone. We can go ahead and wrap up the meeting. It's around 7 p.m. Thank you, Ninelle, so much for everything. I'm sure, like, I don't know, I got a lot out of this meeting. I'm sure everyone else did too. So we really appreciate you for just like taking time out of your day to help us. And yeah,
Of course.
everyone in the chat is appreciative of you as well. So if no one has, if you guys don't have, like, does anyone have any other questions? You can go ahead and ask now. If not, then we can go ahead and wrap up the meeting. Thank you guys so much for joining and coming to our first Armenian pre-health event. Be on the lookout for more events next semester. This is our last one for the semester. And yeah, just thank you everyone for joining.
Thanks for having me. Feel free to email me whenever. I'm always happy to help.
Thank you so much, Nina. If you don't mind, can you drop your email in the chat?
Yeah. I'll do that right now.
Thank you.
Hope I spelled that right. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Of course. Good luck. Trust the process. That's like one of the biggest things I could say. Like, it'll work out. If you want it to work out, it'll work out.
Thank you guys. Thank you, Ninelle, again. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Bye, guys. Have a great long weekend.